product of immigrants. My mom's side, I'm not sure if her parents were first generation or if their parents were first generation coming over from like Germany and Bohemia, places like that. But more interesting is the folks that emigrated out of this region in the 50s and 60s. To me, it's more interesting, particularly with how things are going now, because so many people are moving from Illinois, California, New York to here. Your team must have won last night. That's all I can say. Did they win?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. My dad and a lot of his families left southeast Kentucky. And in a sense, I think I'm grateful I didn't grow up in a coal mining town. I look now at some of the struggles of family and people in that area with the opioids and the impoverishment. A great book written in the 60s, Night Comes to the Cumberlands. I highly recommend that book. It's a powerful book. But I share my brief family lineage because I was very easily influenced as a child. I know I'm alone in that. But my dad's best friend from southeast Kentucky, Evie Darty, came from East Bernstead. That town means nothing to you, I know. It's still not a very big town. It's right near London. And Evie Darty was the type of guy, when we would go out to eat, for shock value, he would take his water glass and just bite it and eat the water glass. He would bring razor blades. I know, Cass, it sounds gross, but just follow with me for just a moment, all right? I'm going somewhere with this. He would eat razor blades. That was a weird thing. I don't know. He was one of those, like, I forget what the phrase is, like when you're really so smart that you're almost crazy. I know there's a term for that fine line between brilliance and insanity, right? But he was super smart. In fact, one of his sisters, it was a super smart family, one of his sisters worked for NASA out of the southeast Kentucky area. But Evie Darty, he worked concrete just like my dad, muscular. When he was a kid, he had a mohawk, so guess what? When I was old enough to make my own hair, I got a mohawk, because Evie had a mohawk. He was super influential on me. But he practiced martial arts. But not like the sissy taekwondo stuff that everyone's into today. But not like the aggressive kung fu, like where you really hurt people. He practiced, and there's two ways to enunciate the martial arts. You could call it Hapkido or Aikido. Are you familiar with Aikido? So it's the type of martial arts where instead of practicing on your kata and aggressive offensive moves of kicking, hitting, choke out, all the good stuff, it's when your enemy comes at you, you kind of just sidestep and you toss them. You basically, a way to sum it up is you use their energy against them, right? I think that the best way to diffuse and to disarm arguments, disputes, disagreements is to practice a type of emotional Aikido. Hapkido. I'm talking today about when is it time to be kind. Mark Twain said that kindness is the language deaf people can hear and blind people can see. I like that. Chronic conflict. No one in this room has ever experienced that. You've only seen it in the news. You've never been involved in a controversy. You've never had a battle of wills. You've never been in an intractable, irrevocable situation. But if you ever knew someone that was, you could tell them that Craig says it's only going to be cured by kindness. You ever find yourself in an impasse? It's your word against their word. It's your opinion against their opinion. And I'm not talking about your teenage kids. All you can seem to do is clash. The only thing that's going to cure that is kindness. I want you to follow with me for a moment, because what I'm going to say is going to sound counterintuitive. What I'm going to say is going to sound naive. But the only way you will ever best a belligerent bully, an intimidator, a dominator, is by being kind. And you tell me, Craig, that's very Pollyanna. That's pie in the sky. That doesn't work in real life. In fact, it's weak. So an intruder breaks in your house. A brother betrays you. You're an officer of the law and you're taking someone into custody. You're seated at a negotiation table. You're in the trenches of fighting war. Whatever comes to your mind, how do we treat our enemies? From the Bible, Jesus says in Matthew 5, you've heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemies. Yep. Got you there, Jesus. Oh, wait, no. Like always, he's got to go on. You have heard it said, but I say to you. You know what he just did right there? He superseded Moses. He superseded the religious leaders of the day, the tradition, the accepted practices. You've heard it said, but I say to you, in other words, now, I am the authority. Listen to me. I say, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Boy, if I could rip one page out of the Bible and burn it in front of you, that'd be it right there. I don't want that. I don't want to pray for someone that persecutes me, that stabs me in the back, that treats me worse than they treat their dog. But Jesus says, here's a good reason why. And I hope I can give you a couple of reasons why you might consider this practice as well. So that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. He makes the sun rise on the evil and on the good. He sends rain on the just and on the unjust. God treats everybody very well, better than they deserve. And sometimes we're on one side of that just, and sometimes we're on the side of the unjust. And thank the Lord that he sends the rain. So, kindness is not unplugging your brain, being a doormat, giving up on reason. It's actually, listen to me, it's an unclogging of the hostility that builds up in you. I have sinus problems. You can probably hear it today. I can hear it in my head. My head echoes. I use a neti pot all the time. It's like a chiropractor for my nose. I know it's gross, but I'm in love with that neti pot. I'm telling you what, it does wonders for me. But when my sinuses get clogged up, that's what works for me. We have a lot of hostility and animosity that poisons us. It toxins, builds up. There are links that unresolved stress and hatred causes cancer. Now, this isn't from some homeopathic website of, drink dandelion wine and everything is going to be cured. These are real people, real legitimate people who others take seriously, and they're saying we're killing ourselves. We are killing ourselves by holding on to hostility and to anger. So unclog the hostility, unclog the hatred, unclog the animosity. What I'm saying is kindness flushes out the toxins and the bad thoughts and the bad emotions. Why? What is kindness? Have you thought about what kindness is lately? We don't think about it. It's not in the news cycle. It's not selling movies in Hollywood, right? It's not at the grocery store. We're not exposed to it. What is it? A warm-heartedness. Being kind is being sympathetic. It's being understanding. It happens to be, there's going to be big spoiler alert for you. It happens to be one of the fruits of the Spirit. Galatians 5, love, joy, peace, kindness, patience, self-control, all those things. What does it mean to say it's a fruit of the Spirit? What's Paul communicating? That metaphor means if I look at a tree, I can tell if it's an apple tree. I can tell if it's a lime. I love limes. I have limes every day. I squeeze them into water. I put them on my food. I almost cook with. I love limes. But how do I know if a tree is going to have limes or not? I look at it and I see it's what? Fruit. It's fruit. Thank you, Jonathan. Fruit is evidence. This tree claims to be a corn cob, but it's not because I see cherries on it, right? The fruit is the evidence. If you want it to be evident that the Holy Spirit has taken up residence within you, part of that evidence is going to be we're kind. Now, I know it's tough. We have division, yes, in our country at high political levels. We have divisions and divisiveness. I'm guessing last night at the UT game, who did they play? Mississippi State. Well, it's funny that they could get there because I don't think they could read the road signs from Mississippi. Right? See the divisiveness? I don't even care. I'm not in the game. But I'm just playing, right? There's all kinds of smack talk that goes on. Crystal, you have family in Mississippi?
What's that supposed to mean? No.
Well, I just saw you shaking your head no at me when I was making fun of Mississippi. I thought maybe you had family there. Crystal, I could really start cracking some jokes right now. You're bringing out the bad side of me. We got a lot of differences in our country, right? A lot of division. And it's politically, it's theologically, it's ideologically. There's so much that's out there. Religions, even within religions, right? The Muslims, they have different branches. They don't like each other. Christians have different branches. They don't like each other. I bet you even the atheists don't like each other anymore. I don't know. It's all on the table, right? So the reality is, listen, here's the hard part. Not everyone's going to work out every problem. Listen to me. This is very important. Harper's doing this now. Listen to me.
Yes.
She was crazy last night. She said, we have 3 recesses. I tell you, there's 3 recesses. Listen to me. Listen to me. You're not going to work out every problem. You're not going to resolve every conflict. You're not going to reconcile with everybody you're at odds with. You're not going to restore every relationship, but you don't have to be a jerk. You don't have to be cruel. You don't have to be vindictive. Kindness is not the same as conceding. You can be kind without giving up your point of view, without giving up your opinion, without taking a stand and standing up for yourself, right? You're not making a concession. You're not abandoning your thoughts, your feelings, your goals, whatever you want to call it. It's not about giving up your position. Kindness is about, listen to this, 2 things. Your mindset and your behavior. All right? And I want to convince you why the mindset, I may never convince you that the behavior of kindness is practical. We're pragmatists in this country. If it works, I'm going to do it. All right? The ends justify the means and all that good stuff, right? I might not convince you that the behavior is worthwhile, but I'm going to convince you that the mindset is. So better yet than just mindset and behavior is the balance that we have when we become kind. All right? But Craig, listen to me. If I give dignity, and this is the stopping point for most people. This is where they get off the train. This is where they give up on kindness. If I give dignity and respect, because that's what being kind is, if I give dignity and respect to an undeserving person, they're not going to learn their lesson, and they're not going to what? It begins with the letter C. What is it you want from them? They're not going to what? Change. Thank you, Talis. If I'm kind to you, and I'm not getting my way, and if I don't come in with the hammer, if I'm not coming in hot, if I'm not throwing elbows, they're not going to learn their lesson, they're not going to change. Craig, you're stupid to think being kind could work. Guess what? They're not going to change. And I'm not trying to convince you to change them. I want you to change yourself. I want to change myself. Kindness is a gift that you give to yourself. When you're kind to someone else, you revoke the free rent that they had in your brain. Have you ever been obsessed with someone that absolutely drove you crazy because they were so ignorant, obnoxious, disrespectful, whatever? They hurt you. They mistreated you. They betrayed you. And you laid in bed and you said, that guy's going to get what's coming to him. Hey, there's a couple people on my list. I'd like to give them what comes to them. And then what do? You obsess over it. And you get nauseous. And you have psychosomatic symptoms where your back aches. And your head hurts. And your vision gets blurry. And all this time, they're not thinking about you. Because they're narcissists. Or they're jerks. And you are giving them free rent in your brain. But when you're kind to that person, what's the term when you kick someone out? Evict. You evict them from your mind. Yes, kindness is a gift that you give to yourself because it changes you. To be kind, we respond. We don't react. We respond with respect. But they don't deserve it, Craig. They're not going to change. This is unfair. You want them having free rent in your head. You want them to cause all kinds of nauseous problems for you. You want them to ruin your life. Okay. I'm giving you an alternative. Be kind. Be respectful. Be polite. Be nice. Here's going to be the hardest one for you. And you may reject everything I say and tune me out for the rest of the sermon, but be vulnerable. Remember, I started out with Evie Darty in Aikido. The best part of the story I haven't even told you. This is my favorite Evie Darty story. Someone encourages him to go into martial arts. I don't even remember who it was. So he goes into the dojo, and Evie was not a tall guy, but he was muscular. I'll never forget him. He had big knots on his forearm. And if you've ever lifted weights or worked out, you get knots in your, that's the way he was, right? Hands tough, calloused. He would shave his head and grow out his beard. Not that he was receding hairline, just to, I don't know, I guess shock people like eating the broken glass, I don't know. But he goes into the dojo and he goes to the sensei and says, "Why should I choose you?" And the sensei is probably $130. I don't know. Maybe 140 pounds. And he stands there and he says to Evie, "Come over here. Come and get me from behind. Now pick me up." Evie's strong, right? He's been lifting forms. He did foundations, not flat work. Goes over, picks him up, no problem. The sensei says, "That's only because I like you." True story. Sensei says, "I'm not going to throw you. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to do anything. But I'm not going to let you pick me up. Go ahead." Evie gets him from behind and cannot lift the guy up off the ground with all of his might, with all of his strength. I mean, I'm ready to sign up for Hapkido after hearing that story. I don't know about you guys. I'm talking about emotional relationship Hapkido. When people betray you, berate you, insult you, mistreat you, wound your loved ones, whatever. I'm saying be kind, be nice, be vulnerable. The more we obsess over the bad person, the more space, right, in our heads. But the kinder we are to them, the less we care about them. You don't want to hurt someone, you don't want to see something bad happen to them, you just stop caring about it. And it's like, well, they're a jerk, but I don't have to be. I'm going somewhere with this. The kinder we are, the less we care about them, because there's a difference between a destructive and a productive argument. Right? You can burn every bridge down, right? I'm not saying you have to build a bridge with these people. But kindness isn't about winning. Oh, Craig, we're Americans. We want to win. We want to sing Rocky Top at the end of the game, right? We want to win. We want to win big league, right? We want to win. Kindness isn't about winning. It's about being. Being mature. Being something. Yeah, but I want to weaponize things. I want to demonize that person. I want to criticize them. How about criticizing my own character? How about instead of criticizing, I begin prioritizing. Prioritizing growth. I can't change anyone. I raised 4 kids and they're all different. I couldn't change any of them. I can't change you. I can't hardly change myself, but I can work on changing myself. Kindness, here's the best gift of all, perhaps. It clears our conscience. You ever had like a sense of doom and guilt and shame? The more you're a jerk to that person that deserves it, the guiltier you feel. The less better you're going to feel about yourself. The kinder you are, the clearer your conscience becomes. Why? Because kindness cures the soul. I'm convinced that kindness cures the soul. It flushes the toxic cortisol that's built up in your system. It removes the negativity. It removes the hostility. Kindness can clarify some worthwhile goals in life. If you're obsessed over your anger and hostility, you're not moving forward. Nobody moves forward. It shapes our perspectives. It shapes our personality. And instead of negative, hostile thoughts, kindness actually creates a sense of optimism. Who doesn't want a clear conscience? Who doesn't want to be optimistic? Who doesn't want to be a more mature person? The tit for tat, the reciprocation of anger and hostility, it's counterproductive because it corrodes your character. It weakens you as a person. It only serves, listen, it only serves to generate more negativity, more hostility. Mahatma Gandhi said something about, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Pretty soon everybody's blind and has no teeth. He said it much more eloquently, but you get the point, right? You follow the eye for an eye, pretty soon we all knock our eyes out, right? Kindness is not the key to help your relationships. Wait a minute, you've just been promoting kindness. Is this a bait switch? Kindness isn't the key. It's the hinge that the door swings on. It's what opens and closes the door. Close the door on the past, open the door to a better future. Why? Because choosing kindness eliminates the us versus them. We, them. And it replaces it with an us. We're all broken people. We're all wounded people. Thanks Eve for eating that apple and tricking the man. It starts, we lay the blame at her feet. Hey, since day one, right? And the first set of kids that come along, they kill each other. I mean, how do you start a book off like that? Some talking reptile tricked some naive woman. They have a kid, and one gets mad and bashes the other one to death. Not a lot of hope there. Unless you can recognize that there are seasons of life. There are times to be angry. There are times to go to war. There are times to be aggressive. But there's also, well, that's a there are times for everything. Solomon writes in Ecclesiastes 3, for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep, a time to cast away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love, a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. Timing is everything, certainly. But if this world has taught us anything, we're not guaranteed a tomorrow. We're not guaranteed. You want to talk about kind of freaking you out? When you get on Facebook and you see someone that you've known since junior high, you graduated from high school with, died? I mean, I know I'm old, but 56, when I see someone, I'm like, I know him. He died. Whoa. Time is short. There is a time for everything. And I think that the time to be kind is always. We're filled with all kinds of negative news cycles. We're in a world that's overrun with hatred and animosity. Why not try being different for once? Different than what culture promotes or whatever. How about we be the light that penetrates the darkness of the world? And I think we do that by being kind. So be true to yourself. I'm not saying give up your perspectives, give up your beliefs, give up your positions. I'm not saying go along, how's it say, get along to go along or whatever? Huh? Go along to get along. Yeah, thank you, Lord. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying be true to yourself as you seek to imitate Christ and be kind. All right, let's stand.